Welcome to the library, where you find these um stuff. Yeah, it's just stuff. If you're a bookworm and doesn't want to own any bird, if you're a bookworm and you don't want to own any books, well, Waterpad is good for you. But instead of that, uh, we're gonna read this number one book called If Poe Survived. STWAU. I don't know what AU means, but let's go right into this book, and it's it's completed. So yeah, perfect. So here's the book, and here's the prologue. Art never belongs to me. What if Paul, the little red tubby, has survived the custard incident? What if she helped the Guardian stop it? Or rights reserved. So this book is copyrighted. I don't think so. I think I'm getting it wrong. Okay. Alright, chapter 1, the beginning. I give this a 10 out of 10 for capitalizations and I suppose grammar. So let's go start reading. Things change. Things change. Things change all the time. And while things may be good, that isn't always going to remain that way. This happened with Poe, a Teletubby you may have heard of. She was a child in her heart, not knowing what the world outside of hers was like. She was created by a machine and is simply a lab rat after it all. Living in a beautiful cage she didn't even know she was in. It would make sense in the beginning. For hundreds of years, distinct underground machines have been making Teletubbies to replace the extinct human race. And it has succeeded. Poe is one of them, along with her friends, Tinky Winky, Gypsy, Lala, and Poe. They don't know how they got there, but don't seem to care. They're all children at heart and mind, thinking nothing could harm them. Until one night, Poe watched the water flow through the lake, tempting to swim around, but wanted to join the view. It's a beautiful day, a voice said. Poe turned around and smiled when she saw a familiar face, or in case machine, her friend, their friend Nunu, a vacuum of or housekeeper of sorts. So basically, I think this is an introduction from the game Slendytubbies 3, but I think this is gonna be a plot twist. Hello, Noodle, Paul said with a smile. Greetings, Paul. The machine then faced her. Why are all here by yourself? Everyone misses you. The sight of the lake is wonderful. I'm embracing it. See, it's pretty, Paul said. Nunu faced the water and did look amused, unlike Poe. Water's dangerous to a life form like myself. It would cause my secretary to glitch. We should get you a raincoat. That won't help the glitches. Oh. You should go back. You haven't ate today. Yeah, I'm done here anyways. Come on, let's go. Nunu thought for a minute before facing the water. Actually, I might stay here. Oh, okay. See ya later. Oh, see ya. Pearl then started walking back to her wonderful home, the place she grew to love. She then saw an all too familiar purple tubby one run over her. Poe's back! Tink cried out before hugging her. Poe smiled and hugged him back before giggling. I'm getting hungry, Tink said as he let go. Tink, Tinky. Poe rubbed her stomach a bit. She didn't seem all that hungry. but she could at least make some for the others. Let's go get some custard. Okay, but first you should talk to La. She's been down all day. Poe became concerned before walking over to La, who was soaking and looking down at the ground near her favorite thing, a ball. Hello, Lala, Poe said with a smile. Hi, Poe. She sniffled. What's wrong? She asked. I had a bad dream last night. It was about us, and bad things happened, but I don't remember what. Sounds scary, but it's just a dream, Poe said as she set a hand on her shoulder, trying to forget about it. La sniffled. I tried. Thanks, Poe. Poe smiled at her before they all headed inside where excuse me, Dip was humming a tune to himself. Poe walked over. Alright, Poe. Any luck finding your hat? No, I've looked everywhere, but I can't seem to find it. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sure you'll find it one day. Thanks, I still have hopes, but I want some toffee custard. Poe smiled. Coming right up. Then she went over to the machine and then started it up as she made 3 balls of pink goo they ate. Order up, she said with a giggle. There was no segment of the machine breaking apart, as I know, but yeah, strange. Ting smiled and happily ate his custard along with Dip. La was still a little down until Poe walked over. Here you go. I hope this will help, Poe said with a smile. La smiled back at her. Thanks, Poe. You're a good friend. Don't forget about yourself, Dip cried out. Poe thought for a moment. I'm not that hungry. I can eat tomorrow. Oh, that's a surprise. Ah. This part where Poe refused to eat. Ah, smarty. Ting said before putting his ball away. Oh man, I'm full. That was good, Dip said as he too put away his ball. La nodded after she did the same. Paul smiled. Well, the sun's coming down. I guess we should head to bed. Dale nodded, heading to their bed to sleep for the night. But that was all when it began. Interesting, but I'm gonna give you guys a heads up. I'm not much of a talking reader. I'm more than a mind reader. What do you mean I cannot read minds? I just silently read a book. That's what it means. Judging by my English and my tracking down from my brain, I suppose that I might talk a bit surreal, but oh well. Let's continue to the next chapter. Heads up, there are 31 chapters. Kind of reminds me of I Survived series, or maybe what's the book called? Counting the Stars or something. Some World War II book that I like. Uh, Chapter 2, Rampaging Monster. Oh man. The night was night and the Tubbies were all sleeping, comfy and cozy in their beds. That is, until suddenly, Tink sat up, his face cold and dead, motionless. So someone who would think he was sleepwalking, but his eyes were open. Paul heard him hop out of the bed and his footsteps against the metal floor of the Superdome. She slowly opened her eyes and saw him. Tink, why are you so up so early? She saw him walking over the coffee machine. He couldn't possibly want food now. You you can seriously be hungry now. Go back to bed, she said sleepily. Tink raised his arm and clenched his fist and then suddenly smashed it. Paul's eyes shot open and she sat up. Tink! Tink didn't seem to hear her and just slowly walked out of the Superdome. Paul was shocked by what her best friend just did and shook Block and Dip. Guys, Tink just smashed the coffee machine and left. Wake up! Deb groaned and Lala opened her eyes as she sat up. Huh? I said things gone. He just left. He just left. We have to go find him, Lala said. Her eyes opened wide too. Deb groaned a bit and yawned. You guys go. I'll wait here if he gets back. Poe and Law nodded, grabbing two flashlights, and Poe sharply grabbed some bandages. That's different. Poe, what's that for? Tink must have hurt his hand when he smashed the machine. Oh, a little bit of changing over there. Really, really innovation. Law nodded. I suppose you're right. Let's split up and find him, she said as they walked outside and turned on their flashlights, shining out in the dark night. Tink, where are you? Paul called out as she walked throughout her home at night. Normally, it would be beautiful, but now the night sky is no longer memorize her. It scared her. She hoped she hoped her best friend was okay. She called out again before ending up near a tree. She then saw something pink and glowing behind it. She peeked around and then gasped. It was a ball of custard. What is Custard doing here? She said as she grabbed the ball and kept looking. She seemed to be walking forever until she saw a tubby with a purple fur and upside down triangle antenna. Tink! There you are! Tink didn't respond. Tink? She then saw something yellow nearby before her eyes widened with horror. Pure horror. La was on the ground, her body lifeless, and her eyes and screen cracked. She had blood up her fur, and her eyes had deep scars over them. She was dead. What happened to La? Wake up! Paul cried out as she being get into runs over. Before she felt Tink's hands grab her. She slowly turned around and her eyes widened with horror. With not horror, but fear. His face was a dark gray and his eyes were black. A dark and terrifying black. Tink then screamed at her, an ear-piercing scream. That wasn't Tink. Paul screamed, but not as loud as them, and managed to break free from his grip and start running. She didn't care where she was going, but she had to run. This all happened so fast. Law was dead. Tink killed her, and it was some kind of monster. She kept running and running until she made it back to the Superdome, but then she saw something even more scary. It was there, but his head. It wasn't on his body, and neither was in pieces. What? Huh. That's crazy. No, no, no! She cried out before turning around and see Tink run after her, screaming that monstrous scream. Paul gasped and quickly dodged Tink and started running, trying to get away from the Superdome or anywhere around Tink. She kept running and running, jumping over the branches and falling trees until there wasn't anywhere to go. There was a giant tree in front of her, and she didn't know which way to choose. But then she heard footsteps coming, and she turned around and gasped. Tink had broken it in his hands as he cracked her a monstrous cracker
Cackle.
before stepping closer. Poe backed up against the tree, looking scared out of her mind. Tink, please! Tink roared at her and launched her as she screamed before suddenly he was punched in the face. Hmm? Poe opened her eyes and then gasped. Get away from her! A white tuppy screamed. This story is getting interesting. Let's continue. Chapter 3 The Guardian. When the Tubbies were called lab rats, it was true. They were always been watched by someone named the Guardian. He didn't had a real name. The Guardian was just his name. He was a tubby too, with fluffy white fur. He had been assigned for a long time to watch over the Tubbies, but never interact with them for reasons he had never questioned. But he is so badly wanted to meet them. He grew a strong bond over them while watching over them. He was protecting them. He knew almost everything about them. He even borrowed Dip's hat when he felt lonely. He didn't have anywhere else to talk to after that isolation. While it may have sound creepy, he truly cared for their lives. It was like they were her family and never had. He wanted to be with them. He especially cared for Poe. Despite caring for others so much, but something about Poe interested him. But then, that when that night happened, he was horrified. No, no! The guardian cried out as he shook up the monitor that observed Lala. What, you stupid thing! This couldn't have happened! He was panicking. Nothing prepared for him something like this. He pressed buttons and flipped switches, but nothing would bring lost screen back on.
She was deed.
The guardian could believe it. He didn't want to believe it either. He then stood up and rushed out of his lair. He wasn't going to let this happen to anyone else. This this was the custard doing. It had to be. It had to be. There wasn't a single possible or logical way that Tink would be doing this really. And that led us to what happened with Poe. He he kept running and running until coming across a tree that Tink was confront Poe at. Poe whimpered, "Tink, please." Uh, Tink roared and launched at Poe, but the guardian out from behind the tree and slammed his fist into Tink's gray and dead face. "Get away from her!" The guardian screamed. Tink stumbled backwards, splitting out of two before Guardian looking at the Guardian, slamming his fist towards him, but the Guardian dodged and kicked Tink right in the screen, causing it to crack. Poe couldn't believe her own eyes. I read him right. Tubby had come out of nowhere and saved her life. I'm happy I read that without no struggle. Tink screamed and Tink screamed that earpiece and screamed again before charging at the Guardian, biting into his shoulder. The Guardian screamed in pain before swatting his arm right into Tink's death face, managed to get him off. He felt drops of blood dripping down his shoulder as he covered it with his hand. Tink growled before suddenly disappearing into the darkness, seemingly knowing he won't be able to win this fight. The Guardian breathed heavily before turning to Poe. "Are you alright, Poe?" Uh, I. Poe couldn't speak, still incredibly shocked. But not only there was another topic she didn't know, but in fact she knew he knew he knew his head he knew her and that her best friend was now a monster. That her friends were. She felt tears streaming down her face. They, they, they are dead! She cried, falling to her knees. The Guardian's eyes widened. "No, no, Dave." He felt his body become numb. Too late." He remembered, sniffing before. "Ah, I know. Bandages come in useful." See, I don't have amnesia. He remembered, sniffing before he managed to shake out of it. Maybe they could be safe. They ate the custard too, and that was seemingly turned Tink into that. Maybe Tink could be safe too. Kochi just kept crying and crying. She couldn't stop. She had finally been able to progress that her friends, her only family, was dead. Oh, the guardian kneeled down, setting aside the night vision camera he brought with him. I'm so sorry. I should have. He was having a hard time speaking and keeping it together at the same time. He couldn't believe they were gone either, despite having small amounts of her hope. He killed him! Why? We didn't do anything! Poe sobbed. We were best friends! Tink, Tink isn't himself, Poe. The Guardian said. "I think I know some people that can help him, okay? The others too." But the hell? They had the custodian. And that was the only logical explanation to why Tink think we'll do this? It's infected. Paul Sniffer looked at him. What? The cluster did this to him? The Guardian nodded. It was only explanation, Poe. But right now, we need to find out any other clusters before someone eats them and then turns into what Ting turned into. He offered his hand to her, out of her. I'm gonna keep you safe, okay? Is he gonna bleed out or what? Paul looked at his hand before slowly taking it. Okay. She sniffled. Who are you? I'm the Guardian, he replied. I disagreed. Paul didn't seem to understand before seeing all that too familiar cowskin top hat. Hey, that's Dip's hat! The Guardian's face turned to calm and clicked to nervous. I, may have borrowed it? I was going to give it back, I swear. I, well, if you say so, Paul said as he helped her to her feet. We need to collect the rest of the custards, the Guardian said. Then we can go to the satellite station and contract the military. Are those people that can help? The Guardian turned to her and nodded. This certainly wasn't the way he wanted to meet her, but this was a problem they need to solve. English. Chapter 4. Run away. The two walked throughout the night, but it was clear that Poe had a lot of questions, and the Guardian would need to answer them if he wanted Poe to trust him. She deserved to know. She deserved so much. Why haven't you? Why haven't we heard of you? Poe asked. Why are you called the Guardian? And how do you know my name? You haven't heard of me because I've been in a secret lair for most of my life, observing and watching over all over you all. I'm called the Guardian because that's who I am. I was assigned to protect you and study your behavior and such. Poe's Poe's pink eyes were widening for a second before she looked in the ground. Then, did you know this was going to happen? No, I never expected this to happen. I could never predicted this. The Guardian explanation set in. Believe me, I wanted to meet you all in person in such a different way, but I guess this is how I am. I'm finally introducing myself to you all. Why could you leave? I don't know. My creators assigned me to do it, and I did. I figured it would be too dangerous to show myself to all of you. Uh, Sounds are going off. Oh, thank you for saving. He then gasped. I forgot your shoulder. The Guardian looked at the shoulder and there was a huge bite wound on it. Oh yeah, forgot about that. Paul grabbed the bandages as she brought her and began to slowly wrap them around the wound. The Guardian winced a bit, but then moved his bandages shoulder a bit. Thanks, he said. Let me hear some ASMR sirens. Tornado. Anyways, um, thanks, he said. Paul smiled a bit. You're welcome. The Guardian stared at her for a moment, smiling slowly before his cheeks turned pink and, oh, embarrassment, blush, as he shook out of his trance. Anyways, we should probably find the cluster and destroy them. We can't risk anyone walking to the mainland and eating it. There are others? The Guardian nodded. Many others. Oh wow, I never knew. The Guardian had a bit of a side look. Yeah, my creators didn't want you to leave the mainland. Your uh your your creators don't sound very nice. The Guardian thought for a moment. Somewhere. Oh, and its creator. What? Paul tried to spell it out as they continued to walk until they came across something glowing. The guardian looked at it and then saw it, a bowl of custard near the lake. The guardian kneeled down and picked it up. What do we do with it? Paul said. The guardian took his hat off for a moment and then pulled out a lighter, then lit the custard on fire before kicking into the burning thing into the lake. Hey, you have an antenna too, Paul pointed out. What? I always been reading this wiki a bit, and then I noticed that for canon reasons, he didn't have an antenna. But in story, I guess it does have a plot twist. The guardian tilted his head before looking up and chuckled a bit. Yeah, I do! So that means your screen does have some cool stuff too, Paul exclaimed. I don't know. I never used it before. This screen in my stomach is kind of there, the guardian said. Anyways, back to the mission. Checking myself. Uh, Poe nodded and continued to follow the Guardian all throughout the mainland, burning the custard, then breaking the balls. Neither of them wanted this incident to ever happen again, and they started small conversation along the way. But the Guardian remembered why he's so fond of Poe and love in the first place, and Poe slowly beginning to make a new friend. She was upset about what was happening, but the Guardian said they could fix it. Things will be okay. I think I'm foreshadowing a bit. More monsters gonna come in. I'm foreshadowing a lot. Eventually, they came across the last bowl of custard. The Guardian grabbed his lighter, ready to burn it until hearing footsteps. Oh. Paul heard him too and gasped when she saw Tink stepping out of the shadows. She whimpered and hid behind the Guardian, clutching his arm. The Guardian gritted his teeth until seeing Tink grab a bowl of custard. Tink smirked before eating not only the bowl, but the custard as well. Ooh. He then let out the most loud and ear-piercing scream he could muster as a purple smoke began to surround him. He began to change. The Guardian impulse eyes widened as Tinky Winky, the oldest and kindest, turned into a monster. His body grew and grew until it was enormous and his face filled with giant. Poe then grew sharp fangs and his eyes turned red. A giant monster then faced the two and roared. Run! The Guardian screamed, grabbing Poe's hand and running away with her. Oh, there's a lot of caps. Poe screamed as well as she tried her very best to run as fast as she could. She turned around for one moment and saw her former best friend chasing after them. She screamed again and immediately began to run faster. Me, go throughout the mountains or the caves, the Guardian cried out. Mountain! Mountain! Tink can't climb! Climb? Poe shouted. The Guardian nodded and quickly started running away with Poe towards the mountain. Tinky Winky, or rather Tinky Tink, kept running after them until Poe and the Guardian finally escaped and he roared in anger. Poe was right. He indeed could not climb, and he was far too big. The tank. The Poe and the Guardian kept running and running until they got far enough and they stopped running. Okay, we're safe, the Guardian breathed. He then pulled out his night vision camera while Poe grabbed her flashlight, but it wasn't working. Dang it, Poe said. The Guardian sighed and then set the flashlight down. It's okay, don't worry. We have my night vision camera. Poe nodded. Alright, we should start heading out then. Right, don't worry, Poe. After this, we contact the military. We just have to do a bit of walking. Hope you don't mind snow. Right, snow. What snow? The Guardian chuckled and gently held her hand. Don't worry, I'll guide you through it. Thank you, Paul said with a smile. Then the two headed off.